All right, so I received a request from a student that I teach a class focused on low back, sacrum, tailbone. So that's going to be our focus today. So we're going to start with a blanket down on the mat and have 2 blocks and a strap accessible. And let's just take a moment to settle into Shavasana. So get comfortable. Whatever that means for you is fine with me. As long as it's restful. Make sure that you're not tense around your jaw or your eyes or your belly. And start to breathe with just a slight uptick in intensity. Let's do just a little bit of awareness work around our area of focus. And so the first place that I want you to bring your awareness is your sacrum. Your sacrum is a triangular bone in the back of your pelvis, and the triangle points down. So you can envision a triangle, or maybe you know what the sacrum looks like in the back of your pelvis. The sacral bone is in between the tailbone, which is the bottom of your spine, and the lumbar spine, which is your low back. And so it's kind of wedged in there. It's wedged in the middle of the pelvis and between 2 other points of the spine. Just hold your awareness there. Maybe you can feel the sacral bone flat and wide on your yoga mat. And then travel your awareness down to your tailbone. And so your tailbone, of course, is at the base of your spine, and the tip of your tailbone curls in a little bit. So the tip of your tailbone almost like points up towards your navel. And so feel that little hook, that little C curve, thin portion of your spine. Below the sacrum. And what if you could sense both the sacrum and the tailbone together? And then finally, bring your attention up to your lower back. So the wide swath of your low back, including your spine in the middle and musculature on the outer edges. And most likely your low back is not touching the floor, or maybe just skimming the surface of the floor. Feel into the wide region of the lower back. when we give awareness to, when we feel into a space, we bring it prana. We bring awareness. Prana brings life force into the space. And so even just the work of awareness can start to bring new blood, new, start to bring breath into that area, and start to bring healing into those spaces. Last moment here, feel all three of those spaces like you could light them up in your mind's eye. Sacrum, tailbone, low back. And then bend your knees. And your arms can go wherever they comfortably land. And we're going to start to rock the pelvis front to back. So on the inhale breath, tipping the tip of your tailbone down towards the floor. Arch your low back off the floor. On the exhale breath, scoop your pubic bone towards your face and tip the tip of your tailbone towards your belly button. As you rock the pelvis front to back, we're addressing all three of those areas. On the inhale breath, the bottom portion of the sacrum, the lower part of the triangle, presses down toward the floor. And you get lift in the upper part of the sacrum in the low back. On the exhale breath, the upper part of your pelvis and your sacrum and the lower back press down into the floor, and then you get this nice scoop in the bottom of the sacrum and the tip of the tailbone. A few more. Bottom of your next exhale, slide your legs out long. And then we move one half of the pelvis at a time. One half goes up, the other half goes down. And so the right hip pulls up toward the right shoulder and the left hip pulls away from the left shoulder. And what it feels like is the right half of your pelvis pulls up, left half of your pelvis pulls down, and then hold there. This is a great loosening action for the SI joint, the sacroiliac joint, where the sacrum meets the rest of the back of the pelvis. Okay, then go the other way. So hike the left hip up and pull the right hip down and hold there. And maybe one side feels more intense, more sensation, more curious. Okay, then a few times each way, swish, swish. And loosen up that SI joint. So the SI joint is tricky. It's a joint that you want to have movement in, but not too much movement. And yogis, as we do, a lot of flexibility work, hopefully you're balancing that with strength work, but with too much flexibility, which happens in dancers and yogis and gymnasts, that's not good. So the SI joint is, if it gets too loose, then it's no fun. I have experienced a wonky SI and it is not a good feeling. Okay, even yourself out and then just pause, feel the prana of that. And then bend your knees again. And now you need your strap. And you're going to make a loop in your strap that is about hip distance plus like 1 inch. So it's a little bit wider then the distance of your hips. And you put it around your mid-thigh. Put your feet on the mat. And I don't know if I said this, I did say this. So feet as wide as your hips, plus a teeny bit wider. And you're gonna tip your knees to the right, like halfway. And then we're gonna return to the front to back rocking of the pelvis. And now the majority of the movement is in the left half of the pelvis. So start to inhale and tip your pelvis forward. And I think what you'll feel is that the left half moves more than the right. And then exhale and tuck back. Pubic bone toward the face, left front of the hip toward the face. Now, naturally occurring, I think, but turn it on extra, is that you're pulling your legs against the strap in the process. So as you loosen the left SI joint, as you move the left half of your pelvis, there's engaging and strengthening in the muscles around the left hip band, and maybe in the low glutes and the upper hamstrings. And that's what we need, right? We need that balance of strength and flexibility. A couple more on this side. And then don't let me rush you. When you're done on this side, come back to the center, reset the back of the pelvis for a couple of breaths. You can just kind of loosen up on the legs so it's not super tight in the strap. And then we'll go to the other way. So tip your knees halfway to the left and start your front to back rocking. We're of course matching that to the breath. I don't know if I said that on the first side. So, inhale to tip forward, exhale to tuck back. There's a bit of pulling the outer legs against the strap to keep and deepen that sense of engagement around the loosening. And I don't know about you, but this is like not lacking in intensity for me. So it kind of makes your hips work pretty hard. And so I can't do that many before my like outer hips start to fatigue. When that happens, hopefully you're relatively even between the right and the left sides, and then we come back to center and pause. And you can pause with your knees bent or your legs long, but we're going to keep the strap on. Or one more thing with the strap work. So chill out for a few breaths. Feel the prana of that. That is especially awakening in the pelvis, in the sacrum. Okay. Bend the knees if they're not already bent. And most of you know this movement. We do it a fair amount in my classes. It's a really small bridge. You don't have to get super high off the ground. So lift your hips up just a little bit and pull your legs against the strap. And the weight is going to shift side to side without the hips dropping. So the idea is slide your pelvis to the right and you put 75% of your weight into your right leg. That's going to turn on your right hamstrings and your glutes, integral muscles to keeping the pelvis and the lower back healthy and happy. And then come back to the center and then shift your hips weight over into your left leg. So basically you just lighten up on the right leg. Check your pelvis, make sure you didn't drop. The most likely drop side would be the right side here. So as you go one direction, the other hip wants to drop. Okay, back to the center. So 2 more times. On your own pacing, we go to the side and emphasize the root of that side leg as you lighten up on the other side. All the while, keep a little bit of pull of the legs away from one another to keep the outer hips involved. So of course we know all of these muscles are intricately connected. And in this type of work, there's a lot going on, a lot to feel, a lot to work with, and also quite tiring. Quite tiring. 3 times each way is, for me, pretty much the maximum before I need to come down and rest. That's what's next. Come down and rest. Whew. Don't worry, after this, we're gonna do 1 more round, and then we're going to do some lovely, hopefully lovely hip opening. Okay, so 1 more time. Push your feet down, lift your hips up a little bit. If you want harder work, you can lift your hips up a little bit higher. And then we're gonna add on a lifting action in the opposite leg. So the hips go to the right and you pull your strap to the left and then start to just peel your left heel up off the floor. And feel how that shifts even more of your weight into the right leg. And then change and go to the left and right toes stay down and the right heel lifts up. And then as you continue, 2 more times each way, consider the possibility that you pick the opposite heel up and then flex the toes up off the floor. And that's like intensity increase level 6,000. So that's going to put all of your engagement work into your standing leg, hamstring, glutes. Work in your own capacity. When you're done, come down and rest. You can take your strap off. Whew. Release, relax, let everything go. And return to your breath awareness. And return to your visualization or your chronic awareness of your tailbone, sacrum, low back. All right. Let's move into a little stretching. Bend your knees. Bring your right knee in, interlace your hands around the front of your right shin. If that's going great and you have more capacity, you can always hook your elbow across the front of the shin and then hold onto your right wrist with your left hand. That gives me a deeper capacity to squeeze the knee in tighter. And then widen the angle of your knee, more like armpit rib distance. And then widen your knee even more and turn your right toes out to the right, like you're doing a wide Malasana squat in your right leg. Let's change. Right leg down, hug the left knee in. Either interlace your fingers or you can do that elbow hook, left inner elbow to the front of your shin, hold your left wrist. Take your left knee wider to the left, rib distance, armpit distance. And then all the way wide to the left, turn your left toes out a little bit and do like a half of a Malasana on the left. All right, set the left foot down, pause. Same sequence. Now we're gonna extend the other leg. So right knee hugs in, catch your hook up across the right shin, slide your left leg long. So now we're getting into a little bit more oppositional action in the pelvis. So we have deep hip flexion on the right and hip extension on the left. The front of the left hip opens in this setup. Especially as we now take the right knee a little bit wider, you might be able to feel into more of that front of the left hip stretch. And then right knee as wide as it will go. Turn your right toes out a little bit. Nice widening action for the back of the pelvis. Big stretch for the right hip. All right, swap left leg in. Get your hook up, slide your right leg long. Widen your left leg a little bit to the left. Widen your left leg all the way to the left. Turn your left toes out a little bit. Push through the right heel, send the right thigh down. And release. Slide both legs long. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the pelvis, hike one hip up, the other hip down. I like to think of this in between movements as like a little palate cleanser. Kind of release the intensity of the previous work. Yep. And then we bend the knees again. And supine figure four. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. Draw the knees in. Thread the right arm between the legs. Clasp in front of your shin or behind your thigh. Settle your shoulders down. Okay, even though we're doing some nice, lovely stretching, let's create engagement as well. So push your ankle against your knee, like push your shin away from you. And then isometrically, so without moving, you're gonna drag your heel down towards the front of your left hip. And that's gonna turn on your hamstrings. So can you concurrently drag the right heel down, push the right ankle away? And then breathe and then like have a nice time and Enjoy. Two more breaths. Bottom of your second exhale, we're gonna go all the way to the left with the legs. So tipping, tipping, tipping. You'll have to release your arms, land your right foot on the floor, and start to open your right arm to the right. Now, I like to hold on to the front of your right ankle as a possibility, or if you have long arms, you can hook your left hand over the front of your left knee. So some sort of hookup in order to just help keep your legs in place. And then spin your chest to the right, and I'm gonna reach long through the right arm. So stretch your right arm on the diagonal away from your right hip. One more breath. Okay, then release with the left hand. You have to push probably your outer left foot down into the floor. Bring your legs up, keep your figure four shape. Grab your right foot with both hands. And then set your left foot down on the floor and start to move your right leg into the half happy baby. Press your right heel up toward the ceiling, flex your right toes. Lean a little bit to the right in service of getting your right knee a little bit closer to the floor. And then can you keep that action and rebalance your sacrum back to the mat? That's a tricky ask. Okay, one more action. Slide your left leg out long. It's like a lunge on your back. So we're back to that idea of the two halves of the pelvis doing oppositional movements. Deep hip flexion on the right, hip extension on the left. Really good for balancing the sacrum to do both movements, to come into the depth of both of those movements. All right. And let's pause in the middle. You could do a couple swooshes of the pelvis, up, slip, down, slip. And then let go, pause in stillness. And second side, bend your knees. Cross your left ankle over the right knee, tip your knees in, thread the left arm between the legs and clasp your hands. Swap to your non-dominant clasp. Push through your left heel, spread your left toes, and drop your shoulders down. Creating engagement action, push your left ankle away from you into the right knee and pull the left heel down towards the front of your right hip to turn on your hamstrings. Can you keep those two actions balanced? And then breathe into that. Definitely an increase in sensation to get the engagement work going with the stretching. One more breath. And then we're twisting to the right. So starting to turn your legs to the right until your left foot lands on the floor. Open up your left arm to the left, and you can hang on with your right hand in wherever is accessible to you in a way that makes sense. Stretch through the left arm long. You get this nice left side body stretch, outer left hip stretch. Yum. Breathe. Push off the floor with your right outer foot. Bring your legs back to the figure four shape. Grab your left foot with both hands. Set your right foot down. Start to move your left knee more to the left and open your back of your left knee. Left heel reaches up toward the ceiling. Half happy baby. Pull your toes towards your shin and push up through your heel bone. Roll a little more to the left. Like you could get the top of your left knee down on the floor. Maybe you can. And then could you keep some of that gain and put the right half of your pelvis back on the floor? Slide the right leg long. Lunge on your back. Breathe. All right, release. Slide both legs long. Couple of swoosh swooshes in the pelvis. And then let go and breathe here for a couple of moments. Feeling, sensing all the prana of this in our target area. Sacrum, tailbone, low back. From here, you can roll through either side. Press yourself up. We're gonna come on to hands and knees. We're gonna do several knee down things. So if you wanna pad your knees, fold up your blanket and put it down in the middle of your mat. And then we'll meet on hands and knees. Take your time. And take a moment to spread your fingers. Turn your hands a little bit out so that your index finger points straight ahead and root down through the hands. Walk your knees back a little bit so you have a slightly elongated stance and find a neutral spine to start. So pull your navel towards your spine and bring your head right in line with your spine. Cat-cow plus child's pose. So the inhale is the cow. Tip your tailbone back and up, drop your belly down, look forward. That's nice full inhale. On your exhale, first the cat. Puff up through your back body, scoop your navel towards your spine, and then back into the child's pose. Inhale, come up. Moving fluidly through to the back bend. Roll your shoulders back, lift your chest. Exhale, create round first, and then hip flexion, shift back. Move in your own pacing. And try to move with fluidity and ease. we're gonna add on one more thing, which is that as you go back into your next child's pose, you're gonna veer off to the side. Either side is fine. So you create the cat and then you send your right hip towards your right sitting bone. So it's a child's pose with a side bend. Do that a couple of times each way. Try not to blur through your cat, so create that nice spinal flexion first. After you've gone both ways twice, come to a central child's pose and hold. Spread your fingers and push your hands forward and draw your hips down towards your heels. Come up to your hands and your knees. And downward facing dog. Bend your left knee a lot, stretch your right heel toward the floor. Change, bend your right knee a lot, stretch your left heel toward the floor. Straighten both legs. Push your hands down and forward. Press your upper thighs back and up. Walk your feet in a little bit, let's say 1 foot width distance. So you shorten your dog by 1 foot width distance, length distance. And then bend your left knee again and reach your right heel down. Now you might be able to get your heel to the floor and really feel the connection between your right heel and your right sitting bone. Change to the other side. Bend your left knee, or right knee rather. Reach your left heel down. Whether or not your heel meets the floor, it's more likely to here, but either way, feel from your left heel to your left sitting bone. Okay. Straighten both legs, lower your knees. Grab your 2 blocks and put them to the top outer corners of your mat so that you can easily grab them. And then we're going to step the right foot forward. Take your hands onto your blocks and scoot your left knee back. So here we are again with deep hip flexion on the right and hip extension on the left. Let's create engagement here. Drag your left knee forward without moving it. Drag your right heel back without moving it. Squeeze your glutes. Lift your pelvic floor. Pull your navel towards your spine. You want all aspects of the hips, glutes, deep core of the pelvic floor and the belly engaged. Hug everything in. Feel the support of that strong engagement. I'll say it one more time. Right heel drags back, left knee forward without moving them. That's all isometric. Squeeze your glutes, lift your pelvic floor, pull your belly back. Change other side. Right knee back, left foot forward. Lengthen out your stance a little bit so that you have good, especially for good hip extension on the right. You want an open space there. Okay, so the first action is isometric, which means you create muscular action without actually moving. Drag the left heel back and the right knee forward. So left heel back turns on the hamstrings. Right knee forward turns on the hip flexors. Squeeze your buns. Lift your pelvic floor like you're not going to pee your pants. Pull your belly back. Hold. All right, step your left leg back. Come to sit on one of your blocks between your feet. And you're gonna have your other block between your palms. If you need more than one block to sit on in order to be comfortable, try to add a pillow or a blanket so that you have your other block. You can squeeze it between your hands. We're gonna twist side to side. So inhaling here, lift up through the spine, and as you exhale, squeeze your block and turn to the right. Inhale through the center, exhale to turn to the left. A lot of low back discomfort can be alleviated through twisting. But it's not just twisting, stretching, right? This movement in particular is twisting from the deep core. So we're hugging into the midline, we're moving with the belly muscles. When you use your arms, like in a seated twist, you can get a lot more leverage and you can maybe get a deeper twist, but when you move without the arms, then you have to work the belly. Okay, after you've gone to the left, come back to the center. Set your block down outside your left side, and you can adjust the block according to your needs. Take your right arm up and side bend to the left. So I'm really rooting through the right sitting bone in order to push my ribs and my right hip more to the right. And then turn your chest open, open, open. Couple more breaths. Then you're gonna take your side bend into side bend plus twist. Reach your right arm towards like 10 o'clock. Try to feel the root of the right sitting bone and reach through your right fingertips. Long stretch for the right side body, the right low back, maybe the right ribs. Oh boy. All right. Other side. Move your block to the right. Stretch the left arm up. Side bend. You can adjust the block underneath your right hand. And if you have different dimensions than mine, which you likely do, maybe the hand to the floor is more applicable than needing the block. The block is nice though, because then I can push with the right hand, root the left sitting bone down, and with the left sitting bone rooted, maybe you can get more reach through the left hand. All right, turn your chest towards the right knee and reach the left fingertips towards 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And release. Come up. All right, you can move your blocks out of the way. Downward facing dog. Take your legs right together. Walk your feet in 1 foot length. If that's not enough to get your heels to the floor, walk your hands back a little bit until you can get your heels down and your hands down, short dog. And then drop your heels. I want you to really plug the heels in and try to tighten your legs and pull your belly back. Push your hands away, drag your heels down. Lower down to your knees. Step your right leg forward. Scoot your left leg back. Take your hands up to the top of your right knee. Okay, let's shift back a little bit. Come out of the depth of your lunge in order to scoop your pelvis underneath you, pull your navel towards your spine, and tighten your left glutes. So get some integration back into the hips. Then arms go up, palms cross, palms together, thumbs cross. Slowly sink back into your lunge. Big left hip flexor stretch. From your lift of your spine, inhale, arms up. Exhale, side bend to the right. Squeeze your left glutes. Squeeze your arms strong and straight. Inhale to come up. And release, swap to the other side. Left leg forward. Scoot your right knee back. Walk your hands up to the top of your left knee, come up. Shift your hips back. Stretch your arms up. Cross your other thumb in front. Tip your pubic bone toward your face. Squeeze your right glutes. Pull your navel towards your spine. Here you come. Anjaneyasana. Deeper low lunge. Integrate, hip squeeze, belly back. Think lifting. From the lift of the spine, we exhale to move into the side bend. Push your palms together, squeeze your arms straight. Firm your right glutes. Come up and step out. Hands and knees. Let's do 3 cat-cows. Inhale, drop the belly, arch the spine. Exhale, curve, push, round. One more time here. Step your right foot forward. Scoot your left knee back. Walk your hands up to the top of your right knee. Shift your hips back. Take your palms together, cross at the thumbs. Pubic bone toward the face, squeeze your left glutes, pull your navel towards your spine, come into your lower lunge. Side bend to the right. Now we're moving from the core in this action. You're going to keep your palms together, bend your elbows, twist, and hook your left elbow outside your right knee. Push through the left elbow, roll the right shoulder back. Pull your belly away from your inner right thigh. How's your breath? Look down, take your hands down, step back, hands and knees. Take a breath. Left side. Step your left foot forward. Make sure that long stance. Walk your hands up to the left knee. Come up. Shift back. Stretch your arms up. Cross at the weird thumb on top. Reach up. Pubic bone towards your face. Firm your right glutes. Pull your belly back. Sink into the left leg. Inhale for lift. Exhale to side bend. Strong action in the glutes and the belly. And then we're moving from the core. Slowly, as you go, twisting to the left. Bend the elbows. Hook the right elbow outside the left knee. Then pull back. Push the palms together. Turn your chest. And breathe. Okay, undo. Step your left leg back. If you don't have a blanket down, grab it. If you do have a blanket down, slide back enough that you can come off of your blanket and you're gonna roll it up. It doesn't have to be a super nice roll, just a little thicker than a fold. We're gonna do one more heel rooting action. So I need my blocks for this. You might also, if you're in tight hamstring club. You're gonna step your feet onto your blankets so that your heels are down on the floor and your toes are up. And then here are your blocks as needed for this Uttanasana. Push your heels down. Try to pick your toes up off the floor and tighten your knees. Maybe you're able to release and fold more towards your shins. Maybe it's wildly uncomfortable and you're more in a lifted position. I'm good with either. Push the heels down. Spread the toes. And then bend your left knee a lot. Straighten your right leg any amount. This is nice asymmetrical work for the back of the pelvis, working one leg at a time. Feel the connection between your right heel and your right sitting bone. And other side, bend the right knee, root the left heel. Create that strong heel to sitting bone connection. And then straighten both legs. Take your hands onto your hips. Pull your shoulder blades together. Come up to standing. And now standing with heels down, toes up. Squeeze your glutes in. Tip your pubic bone toward your face. Draw your shoulder blades down your back. Step, step off. Clear your mat. And keep your props handy if you know you're going to want them for Shavasana. And also we are going to use a block right now. So come to lie on your back, supported bridge. And we're going for the second setting of the block rather than what we commonly do, the mild setting. We're going up one notch. If you can hang, do the second setting of the block. And balance your sacrum right onto your block. Stretch your right leg long. Take your arms overhead. I like to grab my right wrist with my left hand. Push through your right heel, pull with your left arm. Stretch the right side. Nice hip flexor stretch. We did a lot of hip flexing, hip flexion, and hip extension. So you should be primed fairly well to do this work. Other side, bend the right knee, stretch the left leg long, grab your left wrist with your right hand and pull. And then bend your left knee. Release your arms. Flip your block down one setting to the mild supported bridge. And whatever feels right to you here in terms of the legs. So you can keep your knees just like neutral hip distance. If it feels right to tip your knees in, you can do that. If it feels right to tip your knees out, you could do that. Or you could do like one of each, like a windshield wiper style. Final release work before you take a little rest. Okay, so let's start to make our way to your Shavasana. If you have your blanket nearby, you're gonna take your blanket right up against your sitting bones. And then, so I have that like roll up still going, but you can do this with a flat fold. It doesn't matter a ton. And then you're gonna pull the sides of the blanket up a little bit and you make this like little cradle for your pelvis. It's gonna tip the tailbone up and the pubic bone slightly toward the face. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. You can slide the blanket out or further away from you. But it's a nice reminder of all of the awareness work we did in this area. Let yourself relax for a few moments. Bring your awareness to your breath. And before we exit, before you make any moves, one more time, feel the spaces of the tailbone, the sacrum, the lower back. What do you feel? What do you notice? And then you can begin to gather up and roll to the side and press yourself up to sit. And we'll take our hands to heart center. And my hope for you is that this gives you some relief, some release in what is often a tight and sticky area. Thank you so much for your practice. Namaste. So that being said, I'm happy to take requests. If there's particular things you want to work on, just reach out and I will totally incorporate them. It's really fun for me. I hope you have a great day. We'll see you soon.